When you see those pictures of North Korean military parades, that sea of uniforms, there's one figure who always stands out. A woman with this quiet smile. That's Kim Yo Jong, Kim Jong-un's sister. And while she might look unassuming, a lot of experts are now saying she just might be the most dangerous woman on the planet. So, let's get into why.
See, to the outside world, she projects this really soft, disarming image. She's the smiling diplomat. But behind that facade, the reputation is one of just terrifying cruelty. People call her the true iron fist of the regime. And here's the thing, these two personas aren't a contradiction. They're two sides of a master strategist. Her big debut on the world stage really came back in 2018 at the Winter Olympics in South Korea. And she absolutely charmed the global media, right? She presented this modern, friendly face for North Korea. But all the while, intelligence experts were warning everyone, this is no simple peace offering. This is a calculated propaganda masterstroke.
And you have to understand how huge this was. It was the very first time a member of North Korea's ruling family had set foot in the South since the Korean War ended in 1953. That single moment was designed to look like the start of a new era. But really, it was all about rebranding the regime, with her carefully directing every single move.
But to really understand the strategist, we've got to go back to her childhood. Her entire upbringing was basically a state secret. She spent her life in the shadows, meticulously hidden from the rest of the world.
Her early life was just completely defined by this secrecy. We're not even 100% sure what year she was born. In 1996, she gets sent to a school in Switzerland, but under a fake name, Park Mi-hyung. She and her brother, Kim Jong-un, lived in this totally nondescript apartment, but they were being monitored 24/7 by officials and bodyguards. The first time the world really even saw her, standing right beside her brother at their father's funeral in 2011, that was the signal she was officially in the inner circle of power.
At first, the world kind of just dismissed her as a personal assistant, the person holding her brother's papers or even his ashtray. But behind the scenes, she was quietly and very methodically building one of the most powerful positions in the entire state.
Her rise to power was just incredibly strategic. So in 2012, she's only 23, and she becomes her brother's tour manager, controlling every single aspect of his movements. By 2014, she's officially named Deputy Director of the Propaganda Department. But within a year, she was its undisputed de facto chief. She was the true power behind the throne. And this is what reveals her true role. She wasn't just helping her brother. She was the architect of his power. Her number one job was to craft his public image, and she meticulously modeled his look and his leadership style on their grandfather, Kim Il-sung. In a country that's built on mythology, this move was pure genius. It wrapped her young, untested brother in the legitimacy and the godlike reverence that people still had for North Korea's founder. So for years, she operated in near total silence, like a ghost in the machine. But then in 2020, a crisis ripped that diplomatic mask right off and revealed her true, terrifying voice to the world. It all started when Kim Jong-un just vanished from public view for weeks, and the rumors went into overdrive. Was he sick? Was he dead? It looked like a massive power vacuum was opening up at the head of a nuclear state. And into that deafening silence, who steps in? Kim Yo Jong. For the very first time, she issued a statement in her own name, and it was aimed right at South Korea. She called them a barking dog shaking with fear. The language wasn't diplomatic at all. It was brutal, and it shocked intelligence agencies all over the globe. The message could not have been any clearer. It was a global announcement that if her brother was gone, the sister was not just ready, but eager to take the throne. That single moment proved she was no mere advisor. She was the regime's true Iron Lady. And her threats are backed by a history of alleged brutal action. She's rumored to have been the mind behind the 2013 execution of her own uncle for, perceived disloyalty. She's also widely believed to have orchestrated the assassination of her half-brother in 2017. And in 2020, in this really powerful symbolic act, she ordered the demolition of the North-South Liaison Office, which was a key symbol of peace. This ruthlessness, it extends to the world stage. She has insulted global leaders with a kind of venom that even her brother tends to avoid, calling the President of the United States an old man with no future. And she's called the President of South Korea America's hungry dog. This isn't just someone getting angry, it's a deliberate strategy. Her inflammatory rhetoric is a weapon.
and it's designed to project absolute strength and to intimidate anyone who might think about challenging the regime.
So you put it all together, her strategy, her ruthlessness, her voice, and it has positioned her as the undeniable number 2 in North Korea and the most likely successor to her brother.
Her official title, it doesn't even begin to capture her real power. She's a member of the highest decision-making commission, and many experts don't just see her as number 2 anymore. They're calling her a female co-dictator, effectively ruling right alongside her brother.
And if you want a clear illustration of her authority, how about this? She has personally issued over 40 official state declarations. That's a duty that used to be exclusively for the supreme leader. She is now the official mouthpiece and the official threat maker for the entire country.
So the line of succession seems pretty clear. Kim Jong-un doesn't have a known adult son to take his place, so experts and defectors, they all agree that under the regime's own rules, if he were to die suddenly, power would pass directly and immediately to her. You know, history has definitely seen its share of ruthless queens who waded through blood to secure their power. But none of them commanded the terrifying combination of tools that she has. She doesn't just wield influence, she wields a nuclear button. And she rules over one of the most isolated and controlled societies on Earth.
It's wild to think the world once just dismissed her as her brother's silent assistant. Today, the question is no longer if she's powerful. The real question is, what happens when she is fully in command? Is the world prepared for a nuclear-armed dictator who may prove to be even more dangerous than her brother?